6 o'clock, I will call the meeting to order. Christina, you have the roll?
Yep.
And everyone, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We could approve the special meeting agenda
Motion
for
to
tonight.
approve the special meeting agenda for tonight.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. If there's anyone for the Blackduck Forum. Christina. We'll move to your report.
This shouldn't take me too long, because not much has changed since the council meeting. So I'll just let you, the council know that the packet for the preliminary levy includes all the revenues and the department expenditures for operating that I reviewed at the beginning of September. Expenditures have been updated through the end of August. With a few in some of the departments for payroll, the first payroll in September. Otherwise, nothing has really changed out of that large 8-page document that goes over all the individual expenditure codes next. On the last couple of pages, I have the city's debt schedule still highlighted for 25 with an anticipated total debt with the HRA levy of $54,635. The general funds need of $376,346 for a total preliminary levy of $430,981, which is a 6.2% increase over 24. The last page is that property tax sample I provided to you in 2 weeks ago. Where I reviewed, there we go, where I reviewed the new homestead exclusion that'll start in 25 with the new range of 95,000 to 413. Showing that a city of Blackduck tax could actually be lower next year due in part to that range based upon, $100,000 home, which is pretty much my test that I've been sampling for the last 8 years. We're at a 96% mill rate, which is slightly higher from this current year, but it should spread out because we haven't really raised much in the levy total. Overall, it's only about $30,000 more than this current year. So what I'm proposing is the city adopt the levy as I presented and approve the resolution that I have in the packet. If there's any details about the operating budget that didn't get covered 2 weeks ago, I can take them now. Otherwise, I didn't plan on going over too many more details tonight. We didn't change anything after the financial committee met again.
No. I didn't hear. it.
Okay.
Any other, sorry. And you're finished with that, Christina?
Mhm.
If no one has any questions, then we'll move to approving this resolution. We have a motion.
A motion to approve resolution 2024-13, approving proposed 2024 tax levy.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that? And all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passes. And with that,
Move to close the special meeting and open the regular.
Who was my second, please?
Second.
Oh, thank you, Lauren.
there we go. All in favor? Opposed? Regular council work session is now open. Soon as I click. Okay. Call to order. Can I get approval of this evening's work session agenda?
Motion to approve this evening's work session agenda.
A second,
Second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Old business.
Actually, there's a draft.
That has been
The whole draft has been put together, he's reviewing that.
excellent.
So,
You know when we might have, results on if it's ready to be submitted then?
I know what he told me on the phone earlier is this next month, we plan on having quite a bit more time to get into it. And it was past month, like they shoulder, I mean, there's something, so we didn't have a ton of extra time, but, sounded like he's gonna be pretty aggressive this next month or so.
So maybe by the November council meeting for
Uh,
work session.
November, like, a chance, I'd have to confirm that with him, but
Okay,
I mean, the keys and cold.
It's not gonna hold your feet to the fire on.
No, I know that,
Just an idea.
but yeah, that is one thing that is progressive, is a full draft, and then it's. So it's gonna take a little bit.
There's a lot in there. Okay. The library facility study. Discussion with library board.
Start recapping what we discussed at the last work session. Mary Solomonson here. She had not had the opportunity to see
the report yet, so I did give her a copy. And then, extended the invitation to the board members to come tonight. I see Kelly and Miriam made it. So we're at that point with, having that open dialogue now. There were a couple comments at the last meeting, about wanting to start with the remodel process and then potentially moving into the addition at a later date. I know Nick brought that up. Otherwise, there really wasn't a whole a lot of feedback other than that. So I'd be interested to see how you guys.
Well, I think I spent quite a bit of time and I was gone, and the library was to get together. That didn't happen, but Kelly and I spent quite a bit of time talking about this, and I reviewed it again this morning after having read it really thoroughly, so I am a little confused, and so is Kelly, when we look. I'm glad this is a work session, because I didn't know that. I wanted to be more open discussion. So when we read through this, and several of us have now, and I'm not real sure I understand Woodsep and the way they went about this, but I'm gonna start out with an overview. Many of the things that we see in this report are general maintenance that should be handled every year or have a plan by the owners of our building, which happens to be the city. So my question is, why is that? Our questions are, why is so much of that included? I agree, it needs to be done. One of the biggest misses was the front door. That front door is horrible, and every single one of you been in that door and know that there's so much cold air that comes in the winter and it sticks and everything. I can't figure out why that wasn't part of Woodsep's report. And I'm just gonna be honest, and I know you're sitting here and I don't know you, and I'm Miriam Osborne. We feel like it was an awful lot of money to pay for, to be told there's so much that needs to be done that is city required. And you miss a front door that is horrid. And you can see through it, so there's wind coming through it and it ices up all the time in the winter. You can't get it open. It should have been replaced years ago. But I looked at it from this standpoint this morning, so I'm going to give you kind of an idea, and then I'm sure Kelly has some ideas at the end too. I went through and looked at the exterior. And the first thing was the front door, which isn't in there. And then it talks about the cement of the sidewalk, talks about the cement around the postal box drop, and the concrete apron at the back door. And plus the back door is totally rusted. I don't know why that wasn't. And that this all isn't in compliance with ADA. Well, the outdoor work, unless I misunderstand, having been own some rental properties, ends up being your responsibility to have handled that. The ADA ramp, it reads in there, says that the wood handles, and needing to use them myself, I'm going to tell you, I couldn't even get in there tonight very easily, must be replaced. They're not ADA, and it was high when they gave them low, medium, high. It's ranked very, very high to have that corrected. I don't understand who approved what we have now. I need a handle in the middle of the thing so that I can come down or grab it from both sides if you're right-handed or if you're left-handed coming up there. Drainage and grading is mentioned. Well, that should also be part of the work the city handles. This is all, part of this is maintenance too. The damaged siding and the facial nails show in the facial part, the nails showing, the gutters, the storm damage, landscaping, when they pulled everything out, why didn't we just go ahead and fill the existing holes that they left? Trimming the trees on the, I don't know which side, I get totally turned around, but towards where Mrs. Freeman's own that property, or whoever does, that's the tree that they've got a picture of there in there. Then the water heater, I don't know when that water heater was put in. If it needs an expansion tank, and it's required by Minnesota plumbing code, why wasn't that done then? Is it required to have air from the outside forced into a building like that? We put something in to give it air conditioning, so you guys did that. The exit signs and emergency lighting. I would think the city could get a grant for that, and what you thought we already had through.
I just know that Crendon's were in there at one point, I don't know, a while ago. I think they did an appraisal or I don't know.
I don't know who they gave the quote to, and I don't disagree. I thought we had started changing the lights in there for new LED, and Kelly tells me we haven't. The outdoor lights should be LED lighting fixtures, and there's a cover that's missing over an outlet that hasn't been replaced. So I guess many of these things that I'm mentioning are things that we believe need to be handled on a regular basis, and if it can't, and we understand, it can't all be done at one time, but that should be part of the plan and be part of that budget to get that done. Now, the monies that we have coming from Kitchigami is more of what we believe we should be looking at, what we want to do with the library. And I'll be honest, we looked at one of their layouts here. Let's see if I can find which one here, because there's so much else in here that we don't disagree. It should be, and I didn't even know that's what was said last month, that we would rather look at option B and do this in phases. And I don't know how far the $68,000 will go. And if we need to replace, well, that when you replace the door in the building, you're gonna have to replace the flooring. That tile is breaking up the way it is now and there. So we pick up that tiling, don't pick up the door, and whatever, we don't know what it would cost to do just the entry and use the food shelf. Really, Kelly's willing, I would go a little further, but I don't know how much all this would cost, and we need a contractor to figure that out. We would use the suggested food shelf on that option B room as our study room that Kelly feels is the most important. And we have a separate room that kids can go in. They can either be studying, or they can be taking lessons, or we need to meet with a family, and we could still get by using the entry that's on the other side. I would have included the office, but if we can't, we'd go just to that part. We'd change the first bathroom out, take it completely out and make that reception area and make it a unisex restroom. There's no reason that this building should ever have to have more than one restroom in there. They're huge the way they are. It mentions in the report that we need to replace the facility, or the units that are in there, the sink and the toilets and all of that. The flooring's terrible. It's the same tile, I think, that's at the front and needs to be replaced. So I don't know what it would cost. We can make the moves, not me, but we can make the moves of some of our collection in different areas and put the tech area. We just looked at it this evening. One of the suggestions by some of our attorneys have been that we have dividers between, so people feel like there's some privacy like they do down at the Bemidji Library. And make that phase 1, and then go into phase 2, that maybe we do the office. Although we would already put some of the office things out there in that area. And the study room could then be changed around in phase 2. And a second study room would be added. And then maybe for phase 3, oh no, I'm sorry. I did the phase, we said with the existing building. Phase 2 would be this back part where the mechanical area is, the kids area, and storage in the kitchenette. And leave it that way, even if we add on to it down the road. Leaving the study rooms as separate, it's because I think Kelly's looking at trying to, we even could maybe partition this off somehow, so we'd get a study room in the office area or something. I know we can't afford to do it all at once, and neither does the whole board. But we'd like to be able to use that money that's there to do the interior, but we don't want to be paying for the items that we believe are city council.
So let me just be clear, the feasibility report was in its totality. It was to point out deficiency of the buildings,
Mhm.
of the building itself. And to give it opportunity for growth. So I think the council's aware after reading the feasibility study. That was needed to know what other things the city needs to pay attention to.
Okay, but,
So it's a kind of a two-part thing, Miriam.
and I agree.
Yeah,
But who looks at the building and checks, oh, I didn't know you were there, Mike. It might be Mike, so I'm putting my foot in my mouth. Who looks at it and says, oh, this is broken, we should fix this on a regular basis? I guess that's where we're coming from is, I don't know that it's Kelly's job to call every time. Of course, some of our history is, that they don't come.
Oh, well, no, not since Mike's been.
Okay, but that was before, so I think you kind of give it up and forget about it, but. Do you see what I'm saying? There needs to be a plan, a maintenance plan for looking at that building.
Yep.
All the time.
Yep.
Now, I don't know exactly what you want from us. That was part of our not knowing, but does that get you, oh, you want to speak up about what you want?
Just study room.
She wants
All
a
I
study
want-
room,
I really
that's
just
all she wants.
improve my office out and how, just so there needs to be a private room in Blackduck for people to meet. It is very needed. I don't know if anybody else sees it. I see it a lot, like at least a couple times a month where someone needs a private place to do a job interview or talk with their lawyer on a computer, or, you know, people have court cases and a lot of them online nowadays. There's nowhere in Blackduck to do that. A lot of people don't have Wi-Fi. I mean, it's amazing how many people do not have Wi-Fi yet. Yes, that's kind of what I've been preaching. I think I see that at every single time I'm here. So, I feel like a broken record.
Well, and we've seen in this town how Levers has done it in sections. So surely we can figure out how to do a library in sections. And she's right, it's the easiest way for us to get it started. Probably is just take out the bathroom area, the one bathroom, and maybe do the other bathroom. And then Kelly, in the meantime, may move things out of her office. It just can't all be done at once because we believe we have to stay open during this renovation. Now, one item I have written down, so I'm gonna personally add this to it. Because all of the other signs in town that are Blackduck owned are updated and look great. Could we get ours looking like that too over at the library? And maybe that's money we take out of our funds to do that. We know we have to do part of that out of.
Well, you have
the
friends of the
library.
library,
Pardon me?
but you have friends of the library organization,
We have both.
because
But-
that's what helps pay for a lot of the stuff at the golf course. It's friends of the golf course.
You got.
I
your
didn't
sign
ask
that
the
way?
city to build me a new sign. They didn't pay for it.
Okay, well, did you, obviously it's the same. Did you have them order it?
No, I ordered it.
Do the same company.
And if I need a door fixed, I call Mike. If I need something, new light bulbs, I call Mike.
Yeah, so do I.
So, I mean, you just
Yeah,
have to be,
I mean, she's doing that, but you didn't see the feasibility
I
study.
did actually. See the
Well,
whole thing.
there's all kinds of things in there that should have been taken care of a long time ago that I don't expect our librarian to know that the fascia board is bad in one spot or another, or the drainage is bad. That's maintenance.
Mhm.
So that's part of what we're looking at and saying. We shouldn't be, but all the pricing of everything that needs to be done is included in this estimate. And I've marked areas where that's all city.
Mhm.
That's not ours.
Yeah.
Now, how do we go about if we look at doing this in phases, knowing how much a certain part will cost?
Well, I think the first obstacle is to determine that that's the way we want to go.
Okay,
Because this is the first real, not
Well,
the
that's
whole
the only-
conversation we've been able to attain since the feasibility report's
okay,
been
well, I
completed.
just thought you had said you'd rather start with remodeling a part of it at a time. What do you guys want?
So this is really the first time that we sat down after this and had you guys here.
Right,
and
but you must
listened
have
to
talked last month to say,
But Mary came here and she goes, I don't even know where. She was, she was like, I never seen this.
Okay,
Do you
so
have a
what do you
secret?
guys want? I mean, you've read it, what would you prefer to do? This is supposed to be an open conversation back and forth, is my understanding of
Well, I
work
think,
session.
Miriam, I think we were looking for direction from you guys to see where your thoughts were and look at these plans. And then go from there in which direction. And I'm fine with doing it in stages.
Mhm.
I just don't wanna see us do one part and then have to redo it because we screwed it up.
And that's
You know,
why.
because one part gets in, the first part gets in the way of the second. So you're redoing two things then.
Right.
You're doing stuff
If you sit
twice.
down and look at it, it could easily be. I mean,
Section.
yeah, it could be sections off and maybe
I have
even
no
section
problem
differently,
going ahead with it.
other than making sure we have a study room.
But you're on the right track because you're preferencing option B, which of the two options is the one that would be able to incorporate an addition in the future
Right.
if additional funds are available. So
Mhm.
if you go with option A, you're gonna
Mhm.
be doing what Max is in
Mhm.
demolition of things you've already done, so. If you're looking toward the future, then B is the right way to start.
Right, and we don't need a second restroom. And when you do an
Correct.
addition, so you could take out whatever cost that is to tie in it to the others. The septic part. We wouldn't have to change. We wouldn't put our, we might have a table there, but I think you can use what we already have in A or in B. And change it just a little bit down here. And maybe give us a storage room for books, for our book sale in that restroom area. And I don't know if, that would mean we'd have to move the kitchenette, but I don't know that we would have to do that. I think that's the area that we'd have to talk about.
It sounds to me like you need a new drawing. Like for what you want that actually makes sense. Instead of trying to manipulate the one that isn't perfect. Right?
That's probably, but I don't wanna pay a fortune to do that, so.
Well, if you just got a piece of paper, kind of copy that outline and hit, this is obviously where your office is, this is where we want our meeting room. And I would be more than happy to come to your guys' next meeting and help you draw something up that
That'd be
you guys would
great.
like.
That'd be
Wow.
great.
And you work well.
Is that what you do? That'd be awesome. I don't do that.
Come by anytime or.
That's right.
I'm,
I
She's right there.
I mean,
She's gonna be living
it's
with
not like
it.
you have to put up walls everywhere, you can get bipartitions.
That's exactly
your-
right. That's
I
what-
mean. Not like we have to do the most expensive route here.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, because to move forward, you're gonna have to have a blueprint.
I can-
Well, I
can-
understand that.
Mhm.
But I don't think we have to redo this all and pay to have it redone. I appreciate
I
that.
don't think
Nick.
you'd have to redo it all. Set forward a plan. You want a plan done, once you start. You're gonna go forward with it, you get the bids for your mechanicals. You're set.
That's true too, because you sure don't wanna have a whole
Uh,
That's-
Well, this
extension
shows-
cords running.
That's your
This
highest
shows
cost
the
is your
mechanical room
mechanicals.
even
job,
moving.
that's-
But
If we
it's
add on.
all your wiring, your, you know, once you're set, your plumbing is set, your wiring is all, all your outlets are gonna be where you want them. And once you start, I mean, so you gotta figure out where your walls are gonna be, so when you phase all that in,
Well, if Nick can help draw that, because that's not what we're,
Cause you can get partition walls with plugins in them.
yeah, you can.
Not
Cubicles, yeah.
Cubicle walls, yeah.
Just make
Mark,
sure that you don't do
basically
those
plug
cubicles
in
where the
your-
study rooms
Yep.
are.
What's
So-
that?
You don't want cubicle walls where the study rooms are. You want something a little bit quieter
Which one?
or soundproof
yeah,
for privacy.
For your privacy.
but I like what you have here.
City maintenance department, what do you think?
I'm sorry.
I like what you have here for what you had to say.
Okay, great.
What do I think?
City maintenance department, what do you think?
That building obviously has lacked some maintenance in prior years.
Mhm.
I won't question that, deny that. You know, we've talked about the door there for a couple of years now. We've talked about that door, have we not? I
And
think
we're
we got a-
levying money in
We got
twenty-five, like
Kodak point
I
for
said
it.
at the meeting, I said.
We know the door needs
Yeah.
replaced. You know, the back deck, we pulled that out ourselves. That's basically been sitting there on hold for what is the decision that's being made? The front handicap ramp that was there was completely shot, falling apart. We took money, we put it in there, hired a contractor, it was all set to spec. I frankly don't quite understand the Witset thing either, saying that it's not to spec because we hired a contractor and he said it was EDA, good to go. So I question that myself on whether that's true or not. I mean, my real honest opinion, obviously, I'm not on the council. You know,
But you're responsible for the building. but-
the city owns that building. We are a landlord. We have a tenant in there that, to my knowledge, does not pay rent on that building. We're trying to use funds that we paid. Yet we're getting, oh, for lack of a better word right now, kickback on whether or not we can have those funds back based upon whether they're happy with what we're doing or not. And that seems kind of odd to me.
Also.
I'm all for everybody working together and stuff, but that whole thing there was put together to identify all the shortcomings of the building, right?
Yep.
Yes,
Let us all know what's what.
right.
Not to say the city should pay this or we should pay that or whatever. That thing was to let us all know, this is what all this place needs.
Just like
So
the
if you
River
are
City
going to
Hall.
move forward with anything, you know where you're putting your money and if it's worth putting your money in there. I think there's a real conversation that needs to be had about the building itself, the worth of it moving forward. Right? With whether you're going to put an addition on, what you're going to change. Before everybody just starts, yeah, let's do all this and throwing it at it.
You know,
Cause that's, from my perspective, what is kind of going on right now.
in the report, what condition was the roof? Does anybody have that off the?
I believe the roof is good.
It's not mentioned as something that needs to be looked at.
I believe the previous comment was it was replaced maybe 9 years ago.
I'm trying to.
The shingles were, yeah. the
Yeah, it
shingles
was
were done.
2015, I think.
Yeah.
The shingles were done like the first year I was here.
Yeah, hail damage.
Mhm, correct,
That was, yeah.
Well, is that something insurance would cover or not?
and it did, yeah, when
Mhm.
it happened, yes.
I guess you misunderstood what I'm saying. There are many things in this, so yes, I didn't understand this was for the city. I thought they had also, but there's many things that have not happened that should have been part of a landlord's, to use your wordage for that, and taking care of the outside of the building.
Sure.
I do not believe that the funds that the library are trying to talk about, figuring out how we're gonna spend those in the future, should have to go to fix those things that were never done.
But they were city
But
funds to begin
is
with.
it not the money
What
that
you're
was
talking
city's?
about the city funds.
That's what
you're
we've
talking about
been
the
talking about
68
for 3 years.
Yeah,
You mean the $68,000?
yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not all city funds. How much of it's county?
I have no idea.
Well, at one time we had that number, that it's both dollars that are coming back to us. These are monies that aren't, it was an error done at.
It was an overpayment from the city.
Yes.
It's 63 something, I believe,
Oh,
from the
That
city.
probably
The
is,
city
yeah.
paid in. That's what we've been
We
talking about
don't
for
know
years.
how much the city actually paid.
Yeah, I don't believe it's all
cities
city,
got-
thank you.
All the cities got a refund because they ended up not spending the money they thought they had to do in their budget. So they didn't go back to each city.
No,
and
they
go, This
didn't.
is how much you got. They used a blanket numerical math equation, if you will, to figure out
figure out
who
how
was
much
gonna
to
get what.
But it was given back to the city, correct?
It was given back to the library.
But you cannot spend, it's given to the library.
Yep, it was,
city
Kitty
can't
Johnny
just
kind of
spend
set
it.
that up to
We
where
have
it
to
needed
give
to,
them.
it had to enhance the entire
Mm-hmm.
community. There have been exceptions. People have asked for different things for their buildings that they wanted. For their building.
Well, okay, I'm not saying that they're giving the money back to the point where the city can take it and go put it in the liquor store. Right, they're
Right.
giving it back
Both.
to essentially
boards have-
the library city part, right?
well, three
So
boards
it-
have
it-
three.
Yeah.
What, I guess what we're saying is, and what we've been trying to do for 2 years, 3 years, is figure out how to spend the money. And quite frankly, spend the damn money, because I'm tired of trying to figure it out. Honestly, I don't care what it's spent on, the door, an addition, ripping the bathroom out, carpet, I don't care, but can we spend the money, please?
It's all going to improving the library.
Absolutely.
It's trying to make our library better for the kids.
I think what.
And to be more usable for the community, and I think
But,
that's what we came up with, the idea of revamping or building or getting a different building was the fact that we wanted to invest in the life of the library, not so much the building as far as the.
Well, we've already
maintenance
had this discussion. That's why we had this feasibility study of the
Right.
things we weren't
Well, I
going
mean, we
forward
needed the
for
feasibility
building.
piece. Right,
So
So
that if we
ultimately,
want
when we
grant-
wanted this feasibility,
And then-
our goal was to fix the existing building, not for anything else. but-
Right.
Or else we wouldn't have spent that money for the feasibility. study.
right.
Right.
I think we're saying the same thing.
When you all finally said, we're not going to approve you looking at another building.
Right.
Then we said the only way to do this is to have a feasibility study. So that we can even look for grants, you can look for grants, both of us can go out and look for grants this way, because it's been done. But
Can
I
I ask
guess,
a question?
Let's see.
Is the goal to have a really nice library? I don't use the library, so like when it comes to the meeting rooms, I don't necessarily understand some of it. And like a food shelf, isn't that why we have a resource center? Shouldn't the resource center be our food shelf? And like, I don't understand, like,
resource center handles different things than we do.
but why do we have two food shelves in town? Why
We
not?
don't, they're very different. What they have coming in is all senior center. I mean, it's all senior boxes that come in.
So they don't have like an actual food shelf?
No, they do not. No.
Is it normal for libraries to have a food shelf?
Yes, it is very.
It is now.
I don't go to libraries.
And the
so-
dollars are going away that handle the trucks that comes up for second harvest. That comes to the Be Free Church by December 31st. So there won't be any other place for people to go to in this community.
I think it's a great thing you guys have. that food
It's
shelf
not
there.
like
I
it's
see
a
people going in
huge-
there
It's
all the
not
time.
huge.
It's
but-
a open shelf in the entryway. I
It helps
mean,
out people in need. during
yes,
Right.
it's,
If people really, really need something, there's something there usually for them to use it.
But if it doesn't fit in your building, my point is, live within your means. Like if it doesn't fit in your building, then, you know, I would love to add a simulator in the golf course, but it doesn't fit to my building, so.
It does-
I have
it's
to-
a shelf. It's.
I know,
gonna
but you're
fit
in,
no matter
the
what.
feasibility study said they wanted to add on another room
Well,
and
that-
integrity
well,
and all this stuff.
they-
That was my.
They made it another room. We probably
Right.
would not.
Yeah, that's, that was not my decision. I was like, yeah, if money was not an option. yes,
Right,
That would
right.
be amazing, but obviously it is.
I think we are going to find, and this has nothing to do with the library, we are going to find in this community that we are going to be short food by January 1st. Because there are not going to be, there's not going to be funds coming to this community like there have been. But with that being said, the library would like to work with some of the other organizations in this community. Continue, that's part of our
And
goal.
the thing is,
So
when
put
Jamie
food.
is not there, people
Yeah.
come to the library.
Mhm.
I mean, if someone works in Bemidji, they come into the library at 5 o'clock on a Tuesday. And they can still fax whatever they need to do. They can fill out those forms. I obviously can't help them like Jamie does. But I do that, and the resource center has paid the library to do this. When they did not have someone working there, they paid me. They gave Kitchi the money to do all their printing and faxing that they couldn't do there because they were closed, because there was no staff. So that's just what Jamie and I do, is we go back and forth, and that's what libraries are for. And obviously, she doesn't have room for a meeting room. I mean, if the county wants to kick in and build her a meeting room, I don't need one, that's fine, I'm perfectly fine with that, but it's needed.
It's needed in this community and we're trying to add and make that a part of what we can provide for the community, and here it is, a library that's doing that. So study rooms are really important in this community. And
Well, I'm not saying just, but.
But I
you
mean,
need-
areas
yeah.
to meet, areas to meet or
Just
something.
an
like that.
office, a private, of somewhere private, so if you have a mental health visit, court date, something that you don't wanna be sitting in the middle, you know, somewhere with free Wi-Fi. Or if you don't have there's a lot of people come in and have no idea how to use a computer, so,
And everything's going that way, so
yes.
the librarians help that. Your library is becoming the center of your,
I'm not going to question.
Yeah, no, I know you're
the
not.
need or how much it would get used. But, all I wanna know is, where do we start? When do we start? Which section you wanna go with first? What's our first phase?
Well, I think that's what
That
Mary,
phase is,
what I was trying, I should have probably made copies for all of you and made one for Kelly.
so that was I mean, I don't know how much money it would take, but just rip out that front bathroom. And I'll turn that, I don't need an office, I'll buy a file cabinet that I can lock. And I'll go in the entry or the circulation desk. Cause that's where you rip out the bathroom, circulation desk would be there. And just everything from my office would go there, and then my office would be the study room. That was my thought. That's all you do,
But I just,
you
you
know,
know,
if
we
we-
leave our food shelf where it is.
yeah.
But if Nick can come and help lay that out, so we don't mess up, if we eventually could add on.
I make a suggestion to make the building flow better with what you're doing.
Yeah,
I would rip your office out. Rip the plumbing out of the bathroom, but leave that second bathroom, because I think it's large enough. I'd have to go in there again. I think that's large enough to be your closed meeting room or whatever it is that you're calling it. And I think that would allow your building to function better versus the
what
way you
Woodson
come
came
through
up
it
with?
now.
yeah.
I've looked at that. Right now, I'm going to what I know, easiest, cheapest route of things is to rip your office out of there.
Yeah.
Because that opens a huge section of that building if you do that.
Yep.
You take that bathroom and have that be a meeting room.
Yep.
And you can take your checkout desk or whatever you're calling it and slide that over to pretty much I'm gonna call it the south wall of what is currently the bathroom, right?
Mhm.
So then you're kind of up against the bathroom with your back facing kind of the door and, west towards the rest of the library. Now your whole library functions and flows 85 times better. than
Yeah,
what it did,
and I'm
and
glad-
relatively cheap.
That's a good idea.
So the reception would go over here, I believe. Well, it'd be maybe over here. Bathroom.
If I get you.
So you take out,
draw
you take out
I
the
can draw it right now if you want.
second, dude, you're talking about taking
Let's-
out the
let's
second
do
bathroom?
that.
No,
Come,
yes,
would you look at
the,
this?
the southern bathroom of the current layout.
Right.
I'm
So
just
they
trying to
kept
think
the
of
second
something.
bathroom.
So
Right.
this is the current layout, correct?
No, no, this is what.
Okay,
they-
I don't
but-
even wanna look at theirs, then I'm going off of what the current layout is.
Okay, but the currents, here's one restroom, here's the other restroom.
Currently, yes, currently they are like this.
Mhm.
What I'm talking about doing is ripping out this office right here, her current office,
Right?
take that out.
Mhm.
So that's gone and it's open through here now.
It's open now when you come in this way.
This bathroom that's right here currently,
Mhm,
you're going to gut that bathroom
mhm.
and turn that into your meeting room, study room, whatever it is,
Okay,
right? And then on the southern wall of that is essentially where your reception area is going to be. So you're gonna
Oh,
come in the
okay.
door, you're gonna walk straight in like so, your reception's right here. So when people are getting ready to leave and go out the door anyways, you gotta go right past your
Mhm.
reception and they're out. Now you have this whole thing in here to
it's
do
open.
whatever you want with. If you wanna put cubbies in there in between computers, however you wanna do it. You want me to draw
Please.
this?
please. Need to see this?
I'm no artist.
It's okay. Squares are fine.
This is picture.
Well, that was, thanks for doing that, Mike.
Okay. You have right now. Bathroom here
Mhm.
and a bathroom here, right?
Yeah.
You enter, you kind of come around,
That's the office.
something like this, right? This is the office,
Yep,
okay? What I'm saying, this bathroom here gets gutted and turned into your
Private room.
private room, whatever it is,
here's your edits,
okay?
different color.
Your reception desk, however it works out, I mean, really, it's long enough here that it can just be one desk like this, right to this wall, I guess. Okay, you can sit back there, or your U shape, however you want it to be. This thing here goes bye-bye, that's no longer. You've got two rooms back here, right, Kelly? You've got this one, which has the breakers and the water heater in it.
And then all our computer junk.
Yeah.
This is just a room though that does not have any utilities, correct?
Yeah,
It's
just.
basically a
storage.
room closet that's just full of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, storage, you got.
you know, however you wanna do this, obviously, this, if we're not doing any addition or anything like this, this can stay completely fine how it is. This, if you need more storage or something, you have the potential to add on a little bit here and do something there, or even add on, put a door in it, and there's another room now if you need it. But again, now you have all this open space here. You do have a door right here, which is your second, you know, fire exit. However, with this gone, you know, maybe you can put your computers down here with a couple of little cubicles and have them spaced apart. This is a lot easier and a lot more like what you guys are trying to talk about doing on a lot cheaper scale.
Yeah, and I'm, whatever.
Your vision's better too.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's always been an issue, like I've had people who are like, how can you stand not being able to see the front door? Like, that's always been a safety issue, which I've never had to worry about thankfully, but a lot of people have commented on it.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Yeah, you've already got the walls for, in that second bathroom to become a meeting room. You just keep its footprint, rip up all the plumbing, and then make that a meeting room.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna do the floors anyway, and do the other bathroom, you just do it all at the same time. But
So does this go out for bids? Does this, who does the,
That's what Miriam, I think, was trying to get to earlier, is like, what is her next step?
our next step, we need to, now that we have a concept of what we are in agreement on, of needs and wants, is now we need to get a solid plan and find out how much that will cost. If we're gonna do that front west side as a phase one, if you will, we need to find a contractor to give us a bid on what that will cost.
And who does that? Us or you guys?
The city has to.
Are you happy with that?
Well, I don't want to do it, to be honest with you, to figure it out. But from when you were talking, if we're the tenant in this, is it our responsibility or yours is what I'm asking.
It's ours,
Because you own the building,
right?
you have to do it.
Right. But we cannot use the funding that Kitschy is giving back unless all parties agree to it.
Right.
So.
That's
the
what
city
needs
can
to be
take-
decided.
in writing?
The city can take on that responsibility, Miriam, but without having an agreement of what all three parties want to do, we cannot use that money.
I know,
That's why we're doing this.
and but we'd have to have, and do you have contractors that you would put it out for, or you just put it out for bid with 3 people or 2
It
people?
doesn't have to go out to bid if it's under 150 grand.
No, and that would be the best and cheapest way to do
Right.
it.
Yeah,
You
'cause
want to
we-
do this the cheapest way, your best bet is to walk up to the lumberyard.
Yep.
Talk to Daryl, figure out who he recommends for 3 different contractors, have them bid it, Daryl will make the plans up there, the library will make the plans if we're buying the stuff from him.
Yep.
Right, that's the cheapest and easiest way to do it.
I agree with Nick. Talked about it long enough.
Well, are they gonna help with the money then? I mean, can you come to an understanding and that money gets put into what they want?
It'd have to be put into writing and whatever that agreement is and,
In
It
order,
has to go in front of
And-
that board, because
Correct.
we've sat in front of that board before,
yeah, well,
as library
once
board.
we have it documented about what we want to do and how much it's gonna cost, then we bring it. to
Then we
Kitchi.
take it to
And we
kitchen.
say, this is what we're proposing, we want to do, this is our first phase
Mhm.
of updating the building to what we need. What the library needs, what the city needs. Once we get that number, then we go to Kitchi and ask them for that money. Whether it's all of it or not all of it.
Right. We just have to have an idea before we can say, because part of it that's sitting there is a dollar amount that could be added to it.
Right.
Because if it comes in at 100,000, we're a little short.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's additional, for some reason, it's not quite 20,000, but there's an additional dollar sitting over there with them. But that is library board money that had to be kept over there. So we can go up to about 80 and be all right. But we would approve that from that end of it, to put those dollars in. But the 63,000 has to be approved in front. We sat in front, a video meeting in front of that board and gave, pled our case when we started looking at buildings. And they had no problems for us to go ahead, look at that. They would approve those dollars going for that. Same thing would be here. We're gonna renovate that meeting, the library, so that we'd have meeting rooms and all of that. I don't think we'll have any problems getting it. We were able to do that pretty easily with them. But they want to know that all of it's going towards the library.
And they just met last week.
Well, I don't know how long it's gonna
This
take
is-
to get what we
I'm not
need
gonna-
to.
Yeah,
it's gonna take a little.
I'll have to go to Adam and
Yeah.
Daryl and get a plan.
I would suggest if you're going to do this, that office comes out at the same time that the bathroom gets gutted. And the new door goes in at
Yeah.
the same time. As well as obviously the
Yeah.
reception desk or whatever you
And the
guys call it.
flooring,
gets
all
put-
that
yep.
flooring would get redone. on the
Everything,
inside.
basically everything in that southwest corner, right
Mhm.
there, all at once. You might end up needing to look at
and then we'll need a.
doing carpet or something. Are you guys planning on keeping carpet in there or you wanting to do something else?
I'd be fine with hard floors, honestly.
Probably be a lot easier to keep clean.
Yes, it would be, and I'm not worried about that darn vacuum all the time.
Cause when you rip that office out, depending on how that was built, and you're gonna have
Yeah.
dead spots, from where the wall was, that there's not gonna be any carpets. You're gonna be doing something anyways.
Mhm.
So you're probably gonna wanna look at floor covering for the whole place at the same time.
I'm thinking like a commercial tile type of flooring.
Yeah, just hard. And it. I
Laminate
believe it is a
type
heated
floor or
floor,
is it
Not laminate, well, not like a laminate.
Well, so what do you think, you tile?
Well, it's like a commercial grade tile. It's not ceramic.
Whatever's cheap and doesn't look dirty. right
And
away.
won't fall apart, right? away.
Yeah, well,
To be honest.
Can't
It'll
be
stay
too
there
cheap.
for longer than the building is.
Okay.
But yeah, you don't want laminate. It doesn't hold up to weather. It starts to like peel.
I think that's part of the problem in the entry right now.
Yeah, because that's what's happening with that entryway. Okay, I have a question because I know we're gonna be asked this.
Okay.
So I understand where you're coming from. You're thinking this money was city money to start with, attitude about it. But is the city gonna put any dollars into this if we do? We put all the $68,000 into it?
Christina said you had already like put in for the door.
So
Yes,
you
the
did
door is already in,
They just approved the levy, I put $7,000 in the next year's.
$7,000 for the door.
yeah,
And the last meeting I
And
went
that's a lot.
to, the last meeting I went to of your meeting, I told you that we would do that.
Yep.
Well, I wanted to make sure it was still happening because not everybody was that, and they will have forgotten that too.
That's
When
why
I'm
I
saying
take
they're doing
notes.
$68,000, it was $63,000 now. Plus the 7,000 for the door.
That's a $10,000 feasibility study.
No, it's off of there already, or it should be. Because it was 68, so it's down to 63. Never mind.
Regardless, the answer to your question is yes, the city's gonna put money into it.
Only the door or.
The 7,000.
Well, let's find out how much everything is first
Okay.
before we start nitpicking as to if it's 20, 40, 60, 60.
Okay, well, I
Right.
guess they're gonna ask though, I mean, would the city be willing to do that? I mean, I know you can't tell us if it's not, if we don't have a quote on what it is,
Right.
but you're willing to negotiate that. How about we make it that way?
I don't think there's any negotiations here
I
at
mean, when
all.
you
There's no
pay-
negotiations. The city has agreed to upgrade the building. How much it's gonna cost, they need to know.
Gotta get bids first.
I know.
There's no no's here. There's just unknowns.
I'm just gonna tell them that you're gonna put $7,000 into the door at this point. Right? Because that's the only thing that's definite,
If that's what you wanna say, go ahead. Yes.
because they're gonna ask.
Okay, am I speaking for this board or am I not?
Yes.
You
Okay,
have agreed.
Christina,
then you guys say something else. If I'm not saying enough. But every meeting I've been sitting at with this library feasibility study, every single one of you guys have said, we're gonna put money into this building.
Okay.
And I
had not heard that per se
Because this is your first
tonight.
meeting here.
This is the first meeting we've come to. I'm sorry, I was in Indiana for my son's anniversary. And I couldn't be here before.
Oh, that's fine.
And I guess I needed to hear you all say you are willing to put dollars into the building.
move forward.
Right.
Like,
I didn't know that's what that meant.
we
It's
spent,
63,000, that 63,000 is going to the building. We will continue to put money into that building.
and what did we spend on the new handicap ramp that was put in last year?
21,
Okay, so we did that. Where did the feasibility money come from?
the kitchen money. That's
Okay.
supposed to.
We paid, yeah.
Okay, so we put 21 for the concrete and the ramp and everything. We're looking at putting another 7 at the door. Right there, we're knocking at 30 already that we've put in. So, I mean, it's. We're definitely putting money in and
Not including.
we've been taking time for 3
Okay.
years talking about it, so.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the question then, will it be on your list to be checked and do the maintenance that needs to be done to it on a regular basis?
With whatever needs to go on down there, if something comes up, Kelly's just gotta call me like everybody else.
Well, you have a feasibility study that
does.
tells you a lot of the things
Right,
that need to be
absolutely,
done.
yep, and
So,
that's all stuff that in this, that's going to be addressed and going forward. And once it's done, then yeah, absolutely. It's no different than what I walked into out at Pine Tree Park with the restrooms and stuff out
Right.
there. It's same thing. Once they were done, it's a lot easier to keep up on it instead of continually band-aiding things together.
well, here's why I'm concerned. I don't think we're gonna do a lot of changes to the outside.
Okay,
Not initially, no.
No. So there's a list there that they gave that there's a lot of things that we need to do outside.
well,
Looking too much into that place.
those things will be at some point done.
For it then, if it's too much.
The feasibility study, we all agreed to take the study for the best interest of the
Right.
library.
Okay,
And when they did their study, they're gonna point out everything, whether it needs to be done right this second.
Yeah.
And
They did
it's
a
like
lot of
if
those
you,
things
if
that
you
won't
were,
probably anyway.
right, it's like the Cadillac version of.
okay, I guess,
If this is if it all could get done.
yeah, if
Right.
money wasn't, if money, yeah.
Exactly.
it
Thanks.
was money well spent, but what I'm getting at is some of those are pretty easy to do. Are we gonna do them or aren't we gonna do them?
Okay, but flat out give one.
Well, I could take a shovel and fill in the holes they were showing
Which holes?
that are on
the backside where the deck was taken out.
Yeah,
Because it was left that way, because there's no point in doing anything over there if we're going to put a new patio back there.
And that,
Because that was originally what was talked about.
but someone could fall, I mean, that's a hazard, I'm sorry. I
Okay,
look at it from that, I mean,
yeah, I'll give that one to you. I'll give it to you. Same thing though. It was
Okay, I'm
done
just
and
not-
there's supposed to be new stuff coming in, right? And then everything's been held up. We're in this never ending circle, like I'm a dog chasing my tail over there.
We definitely needed to have this discussion.
So,
The tree that's over there, that's in the thing, it's not even on our property. I can't, what am I supposed to do about it?
Probably owner of the property. That's
he
why you were
he
looking
probably
and
just
ask
tell you
them
to
to
cut
cut
it
it.
down.
Yeah, I mean, it's just those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I know.
So does
there
that
is-
fall on me then? I'm supposed to call the property owner and take care of that for
I don't
everybody?
know. I'm just saying that
Okay.
that would be the next step, a logical step. If it's not our tree, then we contact the property owner.
Well, you can certainly trim anything that's hanging.
hanging
over
on your
property.
side, can't you?
Can I get a feasibility study at the golf course so I get this golden list and Mike gets to come down and do all my stuff then too?
Pay for it.
Yeah,
No.
you got to pay.
Sounds like it might be money worth it for me.
I mean, I guess there's branches hanging over the roof of the library, is that
They
right?
can be trimmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can
Anything
be
over
trimmed.
your line can be trimmed. Regardless of where the trunk is.
They would have over there right away tomorrow, you can trim the branches.
Okay. So you will talk with Darren?
Yeah. I'll see him Wednesday.
and we'll get it going. That's what we need. We need to start. Good? Since we're flying through the list tonight. I'm just,
Thank
So-
you, Graham.
this will be another, no, it's important to know. And know this, that the council does feel that that's an important feature. The indoor features need to be updated. It needs to be done. I'll give you an example. My daughter had a court case. She was at my house using my Wi-Fi. No good.
No, should have been in a
There
private
was,
area.
there was a problem with the connection or something. She couldn't get, and ended up having to have it
And that's
rescheduled to go
another
down
thing.
in person.
If you do it at the library, I am there to say that, yes, there were issues that day. They were not. Same thing with faxing. I've had
Yeah.
people call me and be like, this person says they faxed. And I write everything down on my little agenda there behind the desk that I don't write your name, so I can remember. So and so faxed, so there were faxes done. I haven't wrote down that I sign it, that I took their money or whatever for faxing. I can say that they were there and they faxed it or whatever. So I mean, that's just,
That's why it's so important to have that kind of things in this community. An area where people can go and have that, and they don't get caught saying, you said, I said. Because, you know, she's the librarian, they have to take her word for it.
And when the library's closed and the CRC is closed,
Right,
they come here.
well, there
Yeah.
you go. And then you can back them up.
Well,
Right.
she's busy.
I don't know, do you do
I don't bother with that. If somebody says something doesn't happen, I'm not gonna, it's
no.
It's-
No,
don't
from
have
that,
time to
do
do
you
that
actually,
kind of-
you actually fax for people with this?
yes, all the time,
Mhm.
Okay, I didn't know.
all the time.
Yep, well kept secret.
Not really.
I am,
I just
Obviously
did it for
not.
Charlie Anderson. No, all the time.
I hadn't even thought about the telemed stuff too. That's
Right,
Mhm.
really big, being able to do that.
it's just so
Yeah,
much that
it's
has
very
to be done.
awkward to do that in public. Even in your car. I've had a few people do it in their car because we have Wi-Fi
Right, they'll
outside.
sit outside and do it, but,
Yeah.
at least we offer that for you.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Truck restorations.
How you starting, which one you starting with?
Well, let's get a recap on the old deck from what was decided at the
Oh,
last
yeah.
meeting.
I was gonna
Okay.
go from old to new,
Old duck first?
old duck,
Old duck.
duck.
Nick.
I should be able to get her a quote this week.
Okay, and I,
Because I'm gonna have to go locally where we have the city has a charge account. But my initial bet was gonna go to Ace to get this stuff, but be a conflict of interest if she had to rate, or, yeah, so it's gonna be easier if I just go to a local spot. Get her a price and then go local. But it does look like we got a couple weeks of good weather, so.
That's for a fiberglass.
Fiberglass, a couple, it's gonna be probably three kids.
Yeah, where would that be around here?
Napa might have a fiberglass, Napa should probably have a fiberglass there, you know.
Because with Ace, would be a problem with paying for it, or?
Well, yeah, because I'd have to add.
Then the city would reimburse a council member for something, and I'm just thinking
Just
that
gets
might be a
messy.
conflict, it might show, it might flag. I'm not comfortable with it.
Or this way.
I'd rather
you can
stick
get
with
the
a local
material for
vendor.
me. I got all the sandpaper and sanders and tools to do stuff, so basically just the product.
and Cheryl is good with painting,
Awesome.
That's good news.
so we just have to keep her in the loop.
So is that something like I should,
I have to
when I'm
interrupt
done,
you.
paint it black and then she'll come,
Sure.
or she'll do the whole thing?
You know, she was getting ready to leave close shop, but you know, I think she just needs somebody to communicate with her, the when, the where and what. So I could send her the photos that we have here. That are, and like, we have two different photos here. We have the older duck and we have this. This,
Oh,
they're a little different in
assessment.
yeah, so you just really need to, if this is the one. With, looks like yellow and blue here on the wing, is that the picture, is that the? What
The
you
one with the
want?
rifle sitting next to it?
Yeah, they both have rifles, one's black and white,
Well,
one
one-
color. But, yeah, or she's willing to take pictures of what's there now and go from there as well. So just it'd be collaborating with her and,
Yeah, see, I think that. The original, or.
do you want me to have her get a hold of?
That one right there.
About product?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay,
Yes, please. Thank you, Lori.
Nick, if you're gonna, yeah, just let her know when you're gonna be done with it, so she can get to it,
so don't take all the nice weather.
yeah.
Are you guys painting this duck this year or?
I think Nick's hoping to get the patches done and get it done. Before.
Yep.
Snowfall, yeah.
So I have to,
You might wanna clue Mike in on what you're doing, he missed that meeting.
Yeah, he wasn't
Yeah.
here.
Can I get an update here?
Cause are we gonna roof that thing afterwards? Is that what we're gonna do for the winter? Do a little
How
bit of,
patching goes. I don't know.
are we gonna just throw some tin up or
What
something?
duck are we talking?
The down Main Street duck.
This one right here.
Nick's going to,
He's gonna
get
fiberglass.
fiberglass kits and do the patching and cleaning it up, and then Cheryl will come in as volunteer to paint it. All with the supplies, supported
Supplied by the city.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have good
In
enough
an
time to get it
attempt.
done.
If the statue is in as poor a condition as indicated, then this is just a little Band-Aid to help keep it around for a little longer.
And we're gonna plan on some type of shelter for it in the future.
That was actually even brought up at the last chamber meeting. There's something to go over when I was giving them the update,
Maybe there was some kind of just lean to. of some
Protect
sort
it from the
for
UV and most of the elements, I mean.
90%,
Few
yeah,
years if you have to repaint it.
and that's when
My
someone informed me. Go ahead.
Well, I just know that, Terry has mentioned at home that the fire department wants to possibly do some type of a memorial thing for retirees or something like that in that corner also, so I was just saying that maybe it should be more of a collaboration of everybody to make sure everybody kind of has the same vision.
That was actually something that Christina and I talked about, I think 2 years ago now, was it having the fire department do something there?
And then when, I had mentioned that the city would probably want to repave that, just pave that whole thing.
Well,
Instead of
Then we see
grass.
the cost of it.
we've gotten quotes from Brian Pierce on doing cement, on doing concrete, and it's 26.
20-some thousand.
But that, was that
$26,000.
stamped and everything
No.
else?
No,
No.
it
There's
wasn't.
just straight
for-
concrete in there, it's,
We just way underestimated how much square footage is
the
there.
size of that lot is a lot bigger than all of us really think, especially once we ripped the trees and the bushes that were huge and growing in there, once those were out, it's a lot larger. Now, you know, if boy, last time that I was privy to a conversation, we were damn near ready to pull that duck right out of there, so things have changed a lot
Yeah,
since then.
I think that we've gotten enough. I've heard enough people
There was
say
feedback.
they want to keep
they
it.
want to keep
The
that
public
duck.
wants to
Yep.
keep it.
Well, okay, if you're gonna do some sort of covering there,
A nice big umbrella.
well, you're gonna want something high enough then that if the fire department does do a memorial and I wouldn't have any problem with, you know, from my end and hopefully the city's end, with the city and the fire department teaming up to do something right there, working together,
I think it'd be great.
cost sharing of some kind. And you could make that a really nice little spot, a couple of benches over there and, you know, some stuff like that. Could be a real nice area for town. You know, to kind of dress that up. You got two great walls right there for, you know, a nice big mural. I'm sure the art class might be interested in doing something over there.
You see, and that's, you know, John had said, why not have the kids from the construction trades classes, they could be doing some of the building for the, you know, the new structure, they could do that even. But it would be something that would have to be, obviously,
Right.
everybody's gotta get together, come together on that.
It sounds like a pretty serious conversation needs to be had over there of what
Uh,
all parties would like to see.
Mhm.
Someone needs to talk to the fire department.
I vote Misty.
She's playing that.
When are you going home?
Well, I mean, I can
Can you
say
put
all I
on
want,
speaker?
but I do think it needs to be like,
Have Terry or Stretch come and talk to me or.
And
Yeah.
I've talked to both of them too, and they are really interested in
I
in
kinda
doing
figured we
something
had
over
that
there. I
going.
just don't know how much is.
You know, they've got the bell over there, you know,
That could definitely be displayed.
it'd be nice to have that out on display.
And we
with
definitely
storage.
need that protected.
Yeah, and that's, you know, along with the duck too, it's. The whole area could be a really nice corner, could be,
just have some acknowledgement for people who've, you know, been on the department and things like that, maybe to encourage more people, you know, that it is a pride thing and get more people. to want
it
it.
really is. And they deserve the recognition.
Mhm.
Thanks for bringing me up to speed.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. I was just kind of like, what is going
That was just
on?
duck one, they got duck two yet.
Yeah, just wait,
Oh, okay.
it's better.
You guys did more stuff on the other one. Okay,
Um,
good deal.
By the way, the crane's coming next
See,
week.
this is why I'm always here. That's why I don't miss things.
Right. If I can't get it all in 4 pages.
All right, so. Starter conversations will be had then. So we can move back. You duck.
Well, my first comment is we're gonna be using some of the donated funds to save the old duck first, so that's obviously gonna deplete that, right? We're not even close, even with the funds we have, to have KCI come up and do what they're asking. So at a minimum, some of the stuff that Nicole had put in here, we need to probably plan for next summer as it pertains to that base that the statue was sitting on. And some of that revolved around the facade around the base. and having a drainage section for it, which sounds like a simple fix. It may even be able to be something that we can do this year before winter, but it's not gonna look as,
How much money you,
I have about 20 grand and I need,
Okay,
How much?
it can go anywhere from,
25.
yeah,
To
I need
31.
about 10 more.
don't you think if you collaborated with the chamber and we did some stuff, we could,
I think in another year, hopefully, I can raise more money. I mean,
I think a lot of people are really hearted into that.
yeah.
Uh,
Mhm. Because the biggest part is gonna be the labor to get the mobilization of the crane, get the statue off. Redo that base that the statue needs to stay on and then we secure it on. What we can only do temporarily is work with the existing facade around the base that's there now to keep it from deteriorating even more before we get to that next stage.
With this down there, with everything that you're doing, I think you guys need to take a serious look into and a thought on what you would like to do with the pathway leading to and from the duck down there. Is that?
Well,
that's
I-
on-
Well,
it's
it's
right up
not
there.
in this, but it has been brought up in this conversation.
It's been, yeah,
It's,
It
it's
should just be
serious.
ripped out by now.
Well,
There's nothing left of it.
the only reason that I haven't ripped it out is the fact that it does get quite wet around there. And that even with it being low and kind of holding water, as soon as it sheds the water, it's still drier than the grass is
Mhm.
right there. But it's, I mean, it's what, a 2 foot wide asphalt path.
Yeah.
That's, I'm guessing probably 2 inches thick at the most. It's seen its lifespan.
Ugly.
It should probably be just concreted in. And in all honesty, I don't really believe that it needs to go south from the duck the way it does, down towards the information center.
Mhm.
The sidewalk from the bathroom area should just be extended to the duck. Because that's where everyone should be parking anyways. We have tons of issues with people parking on the grass there and rutting it up when it's soft.
Mhm.
Maybe without the path there, it would, kind of detour them from stopping there and parking where they need to be parking and walking to it. So that should be something on everybody's radar that needs to get done too.
Okay.
And possibly to update the lighting in that area as well. We've got one small light there that's also, it's on the duck and the flags at the same
is
time.
that part of that run?
We got some funky stuff going on right there. But the light itself is just kind of a makeshift hanging on deal that was put up at kind of an afterthought is what it seems. Just as long as, you guys are going after a project like this, and those are things that tie in with it that should be thought about.
Yeah, I think those are good for the long term, but I think it's important that we do the short term things that they mentioned in the report. And particularly the standing water, they suggest that gotten out of there before freezing, obviously.
And that's inside the base of itself. So I need to go down there with like a foot long masonry bill and drill some holes.
Yeah, there's a picture on the other side, Mike. It's just because those panels were done on, I assume OSB,
From.
and it's just absorbed water so much that they're separating from the frame of that structure of the base. And there's almost a 1 inch or more gap on the upper part of it, so water just keeps going in. And then the water has nowhere to go. I mean, I don't know what would happen if you just took the facade off the base temporarily.
If we're looking to drain water, and you're gonna do, I would need to read this thing really fully here, but.
Mhm.
If you're looking to drain water out of the base, I can take a masonry bit over there and pop a couple of small 1/4 inch holes in it and let the
Mhm.
water drain out. Right, and then we can fill them. if this is something that's gonna happen next summer, okay, you got this large crack here. I hate to say this, but I mean, this is a very short-term solution that I'm giving you right now. Spray foam the crack. It'll keep the elements out through the winter. You're gonna do something next year anyways. You know, I can spray foam it. You take some green paint and dab on it so it doesn't stick out so badly,
That's
and
it.
that gets us through.
That's the separation on the base you're talking.
Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah,
at this
yeah,
crack here that
yeah.
needs to be filled.
Yeah,
Not expandable,
Yep,
yeah.
so it doesn't push it out.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, we can throw that in there, a little bit of green paint on it. Like I said, it's not a permanent fix by
No.
any means. It's not the right fix,
No.
but it'll get you
But
through the
the
winter.
start.
And the same with popping a couple holes in it. I'll pop the holes in it, put a little foam in them when I'm done. Water's out. Now nothing should get in there again. Or it'll at least slow it down. Until the proper fix can be made.
If your staff could do that, I would be appreciative of it, then I can
Yeah.
continue working on fundraising.
After you trim those bushes.
I'll do that first.
You didn't already call him.
Wow.
Hey, you asked me to come here.
Forced to be reckoned with.
Yes, I've done at the golf course for the year.
Yeah, right, yeah. Actually, I need you in mooring. I actually have hydraulic oil leaking on my greens, so
Yeah, that's not good.
no, that doesn't work very well.
All right. We've got to start.
Moving
More,
on.
more repairs.
Because, you know. We don't take care of our buildings.
That might.
I just gave you guys my draft so far of the narrative that I'm working with Beltrami Electric for the USDA funding. I'm not nearly there. There's still some pieces I need to fill in the cracks, but, and Lori had made it very kind to tell me that Exhibit A was too difficult to see, and I told her, don't worry about it, you've already seen it in a bigger form, so, they're looking for, you know, a much deeper narrative that explains the council and the city's ambition to save and continue having City Hall downtown and having it in this building. So there's some more in section A that I'm gonna add to the narrative. But I've got a really good start on this, and Beltrami Electric's really happy with what I've put together so far. They needed some type of floor plan and square footage of this workspace here and what the offices are, so I had to put that in there as well. And then because Seth took so many photos when they did the feasibility study, which aren't even in the report that you see, I have probably about 25 megs more photos on my hard drive. I was able to provide them more views of each side of the building showing USDA some of the deficiencies that need to get repaired and addressed in asking for the funding. So it's kind of where I'm at. I'm still working on it, but you see the work in progress so far.
They wanted more in depth.
Yeah. Yeah, they
I was like,
want as much detail as I can give them.
okay.
Question.
Last we met, Tim reported that the contractor and them are not in agreement on how to fix that.
Yep.
RP board, I left that on there because there was no solution at that time.
I don't believe there is.
There isn't one yet, but Clay wants to try and rent work, so they're trying to.
Yeah, they're just trying to scoot out of it at this point, I think, and be done with it.
No, they're gonna figure out a long-term solution, but it's probably not what they want to do, it might be ripping stuff off.
I gotta assume that's gonna have to come off at this point with moisture behind it sitting on sheetrock.
So
That
I,
sheetrock's gonna mold and be junk.
I think Brent's talked to Clay about it one time and that went too great, so I think we're gonna keep talking about that.
It's gonna be a while.
Talking in low voices, or are we raising voices?
I think we're at the voice raising stage of things right now.
Okay.
We have boilers that are not working. Still.
No, those are good. Everything else,
Everything
other than
else
the
is fine.
FRP on there, everything else is good.
Just the windows.
No, windows are good too.
The only thing that's on is, that's still left to.
Board in
Does
the
that
wash
FRP.
The FR, okay,
Yeah.
the wash basin.
You just
okay.
see the blank because
Okay.
each time we've met with it, Lori, we've addressed.
All right. Lift station.
Just talked to Justin, Thursday, actually. I called to see what the deal was, and they're still waiting on a few things they need to show up for it. Once they have that, then we'll make our plan of attack and go to it.
So we're waiting for some more supplies and
Yeah,
materials for it.
yep.
Get a bypass figured out.
That's all on them. I'm waiting to hear just as much as everybody else, so. One of these things that you guys should probably just stop asking me questions until it's done.
They're not going to,
I
and if I
know-
don't put
I
it on
know.
the agenda, they'll ask anyway.
I know what direction this stuff flows.
No, I'm waiting still. Once they have all their stuff, then I think Justin will probably run up here and we'll get more of a game plan and a date of when we're gonna go after this, but
And to be
we need to
clear,
do
this
it
is
pretty soon.
a Band-Aid,
No, yes, yes and no.
a temporarily permanent,
We're band-aided right now. We're running off of one pump right now.
Right.
Our Band-Aid is in place. This is I don't know. A Band-Aid with a wrap around it, I guess. You know, at some point in time, obviously that lift station is going to have to be fully redone. That's on the
PER.
whatever acronym we have for that. And yeah.
So it's an extended life here.
Essentially, we're trying to keep it going as long as we can here, but we're at a point,
With the
remember, that we
rotation.
don't have a choice
Okay.
right now.
Right.
We have no other choice but to do this, because if our other one goes, then we're really in trouble. So, yeah, once it's done, I'll let you know.
We can get bailout money, can't we?
Eh, it ain't so much the money if that goes. It's a lot of stuff,
a real world of.
yeah, we'll be stepping in it.
You don't know.
But
Digging holes in the backyard.
the existing pump is performing okay, the one that is operating?
Yeah, and in fact, the other pump itself operates fine. It's the piping is what we're going after here. We shut that other pump off. It's hard to explain if you don't kind of know all this stuff, but part of it is that if we have that other pump running right now, it's circulating the water on itself instead of pushing it out like it needs to.
Yeah.
When it does that, it then makes the state think that we're pushing way more wastewater out to our ponds than what we actually are, which then brings a whole nother thing around of you're overloading your ponds, you're overloading your fields, it's a whole mess. So that's why we shut that one off, and we're working one pump really hard right now.
Yeah.
For the last however many months, that's why we're trying to get it done as fast as we can.
Yeah, but the pump that's being worked hard is still.
We're still good, yep, one of them deals, we're still good for right now.
Sales tax.
So this is the final approved copy for the flyer that'll go out, first part of October. Kyle and I had to pivot a little bit from the original proposed plan in order to fit inside the, budget. Due in part to having 5 ballot questions, we couldn't fit it on, a postcard similar to what Misty had provided, had them do for, membership driving for the golf course this spring. So we pivoted into a flyer. It'll be a double-sided document. Keep in mind, we can't spend taxpayer monies to convince somebody how to vote. So even just 2 weeks ago, I had this read completely different. It used to say vote yes. Can't tell them that. Sent it to our city attorney and he's like, remember, these are your guidelines. So I changed some of the language again on the first page. And because of this and having to envelope it and send it out, we're gonna do 1 run instead of 2, which is what I really wanted to do. But we're gonna wait until the first part of October and get this out to all the precinct voters. I did attain that list from the Secretary of State and then compiled it, sorted it, and eliminated the duplicates for multiple voters per household for you, Ron.
Yes.
And we got it down to 273. Lots of PO boxes, lots of apartments, lots of units at the trailer park. So I would say 1/3 of our 273 voters are all rentals. 1/3 are actual property owners, and then the other 1/3 are PO boxes.
Well, those are property owners too.
They are, you're right.
I'm a property owner because when I'm in the no delivery district, there is no street address.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, of the 273, that was kind of the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this has been approved by the attorney, it's been approved by bond counsel, it's not stepping on any toes, so this is what your voters will see. So hopefully it'll be enough to convince them.
And this is a flyer that will go in an envelope, is that right?
Correct, it's gonna be enveloped,
Folded up or?
correct. Yep. And it's not gonna be individually addressed, it's not gonna say Ron Frederickson or Nick Seitz, it's gonna say Blackduck voter on it.
Oh. And then,
Because that is not something you can get from the Secretary of State. When you get your voters, all you can see is their addresses.
oh, really?
Yeah.
So it'll be voter, then PO box.
Mhm.
XXX.
Yep, that's that anonymous thing about voting, so. You do see it. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't getting flooded with anything else statewide or federal. So, they're going to get Arrow Printing to do the envelopes with our logo on it and our address in the upper left so that it's visible that it's a Blackduck item that's being mailed to the voter and not just another random piece of junk mail. So, and it'll be well received and open
And set on the kitchen table for
And-
a week and then we'll look at it.
and found after November 5th. Yeah, I hope not. So, yeah, I do believe I told you guys at the last meeting that I did proof the final ballot with Jody Treat from the county, and everything fits. So. Yeah, all full sets. So
Well,
won't be a quick vote. Give yourself lots of time to come in and make a decision.
bring your glasses.
Bring it on.
Okay. No, I'm glad that that's gonna go out.
Yeah. Good job. Oh, thank you.
Looks nice.
Thank you.
Monitoring services.
I have made contact with 2 companies. They're both out of the metro. Met with one in a Zoom call last Thursday, and they're going to submit an RFP for them by due date. So at best, I know I'll have 1 audit firm that will put in for it. But I've got more time till the end of October, so hoping to find 1 more. I actually put the ad in the Duluth News Tribune, the Alexandria paper, the Park Rapids, Moorhead, and Bemidji, plus the League of Minnesota Cities website, so that I could get it out there as much as possible.
And you said you had two Zoom calls?
I had one Zoom call, I had two contacts, from two different companies run.
But-
One of the two is who I Zoomed with.
Yeah, and then, so we're gonna get one of those two, a proposal, and the second one was not interested, or?
I haven't heard back from them.
Haven't heard back.
Haven't heard back from them. So, they requested the RFP be sent and the 23 financials, and I've sent those both to both of those companies. I've only heard back from one so far.
And this is it's a Minnesota statute that everything's audited.
Oh, yeah, any city, whether by population that has revenues of a certain threshold have to have an audit.
Correct. And since it's a gotta have it. There's not a lot of folks.
There are less. The gentleman that I had the Zoom call with on Thursday, has been working for this particular company for the last 16 years. And when he and I spoke about that same question, he said there are less auditing companies actually doing government. His company is actually nationwide. But they have several cities, even in our size, in the state of Minnesota and Iowa, that they actually do services for.
Okay.
I think one of the biggest deficits is that there's a lot of auditing companies that just don't have the extra time and capital to go for more cities or more government entities to work for them.
Get a couple. One or more.
Yeah. Well, and keep in mind, when we went out for RFPs for a city attorney, we only got two, and one of them was our existing attorney at the time. And we pivoted and went with Joe Engel's attorney. We only got two.
Okay. Cannabis ordinance updates.
Last time we spoke, let's see, I was gonna meet with the school and I still had planning. So I sent the council, and the superintendent an update after last Wednesday night. Had a really good meeting with our school board. Brought to them pretty much why the city has to do this and how this is, what our timeline is. A lot of my feedback from the school board members was very positive. They are welcoming to having other business. They just don't want it right across the street from the school, which I assured them most of that is residential, so they should be okay. Some school board members were mostly concerned about cannabis use in public. So I kind of brought them back up to speed with how the city set, ordinance prohibiting that on city property. And in the public, they were very interested to hear that that included boulevards and sidewalks. They were very surprised. They didn't know, some of them didn't know that we had done that. But really good feedback. I gave them the same maps I provided to you guys at the last meeting with the 500-foot buffers. Grant Mystic emailed me afterwards and he said he would be fine with a 200-foot buffer as long as it's not like right next to the school. They all understand that having the trades building where it is puts a really tight buffer on our B1 district, which is downtown zone. So that was some good feedback from them. They also had concerns about how our existing hemp company they thought would be too close to Head Start. I showed them the sample of the 500-foot buffer away from BICAP, and Show them that they're far enough away, so if they were to apply for a business and those zones were in compliance with what we set, that they would be fine. So there was some speculation on that. The planning commission also met Wednesday. I gave them all of the same maps and we had a bigger discussion about that. One planning commissioner had concerns about the classification of a daycare and if a residential daycare could really be construed as a daycare. And I said, yes, it has to be. But you may be thinking, I told them they may be thinking larger, like a daycare center, like Head Start is kind of daycare, but it's also preschool. So it's a little bit of both. But a residential daycare is still a daycare.
Because it's licensed by the state.
Yeah, I think that commissioner's concern is, you know, if somebody happens to live like right next to a business district, they could say, oh, I have a daycare in my center, so no, I'm too close, so you can't have the business here, and come up with some type of random argument about the buffer zone. So I said we have to be very careful with that because it is classified in the sample ordinance of what a daycare is. It has to be licensed with the state. The commission also was very hesitant to approve or think about if the city could approve variances or conditional use permits in the future. So I have a question out to our city attorney about that. Haven't gotten feedback yet from him on that. Otherwise, the last thing that the commissioners wanted to see was a 100 and 200 foot buffer around school property. So I did another GIS map and sent that to them. Let's see. So this one is the 100-foot buffer around the primary school building, just the elementary to the high school, which a 100-foot just brings you to the trades building. A 200-foot buffer around the primary school building just brings you into the trades building and not even quite to the laundromat, or, you know, what used to be a laundromat on the corner there, and then all the way into that residential area. So 200-foot buffer really kind of keeps B1 in a safe area. But I had to take it to the trades building because that's still school property. That's a 100-foot buffer. And this is the 200-foot buffer. Oopsie. Yeah, that's the 200-foot buffer around the trades building, which brings you all the way downtown, basically. So since then, I've emailed some colleagues in the Northwest District, Northwest part of the state, other clerks asking to see what other cities are doing, because that seems to be the feedback I keep getting is, well, what is everybody else doing? We're all kind of in the same boat here. So I did hear from a colleague from the city of Vergas and Ottertail. And they all are in Ottertail County. Ottertail County already has a proposed draft, and both of those cities are going to adopt and delegate everything to Ottertail County. Now, their county is a little bit smaller in size. I don't know about population. I couldn't really speak to that. So I don't know if the threshold of the number of businesses per 12,500 people, all that plays into them. But neither one of those cities has the capacity to be able to do everything in that ordinance either. And that's why they're delegating it to their county, just like we discussed at the last meeting too. They're even going as far as whatever that Ottertail County is setting in the zoning section of the ordinance, that they're gonna comply with that, including any buffers. So they're not even going to do any additional zoning for their two cities. I spoke with, Shelley Creek today from the city of Collier. Their council has not even discussed it yet. So they have no idea what they're gonna be doing. Shelley said that their zoning in Collier is so aged that it wouldn't really matter where it is. I don't know if they even work on anything with zoning up there, so her first perspective is most likely to delegate everything to Beltrami County. I think that's all my updates.
I see there's some question about hours of operation.
Yes, hours of operation are also part in the sample ordinance. Lori, thank you. The planning commission Wednesday discussed setting it to mirror the off sale at the liquor store, which would be 10 a.m. to 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. I brought that to the school board last Wednesday and they would rather it be like 9 p.m. Otter Tail County's
Did they,
proposed ordinances.
did they state a reason why?
Says here from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and I was just.
Oh, was
like,
it 6? I'm sorry.
What?
Yeah,
That's a little ridiculous.
that's just their feedback.
Yep.
I'm just accepting it. No reason as to why.
Well, I know it said one school board said that.
Correct. Yep. Otter Tail County's hours of operation were to be 10 to 9, I think. Let me see if I can find it quick for you guys. 10 to 9, 7 days a week. Hi, Caleb. 10 to 9, 7 days a week. So that's different than our off sale hours. Our off sale hours are 10 to 10, 6 days a week, and 10 to 6 Sundays.
Yeah, that's a state thing, Sunday.
It is a state thing. Yeah. So there's still much to discuss and consider. I am still awaiting feedback from Brent Rude and Tom Berry from Beltrami County as to see what they're going to accept if we wish to delegate and what they're even going to do on the ordinance. I haven't seen anything in their last 3 meeting agendas to even discuss a cannabis ordinance yet for Beltrami County. They've only had 1 meeting with the city of Bemidji, and at that time, the city of Bemidji didn't even know if they were gonna do it themselves or delegate it to the county at that time. I said, I'll give you feedback. You want it from the rest of the county? I'll talk to you. So kind of waiting from some feedback on them, but I kind of tentatively put a timeline together in my head, noting that we should probably have our first ordinance read at the November 4th meeting, or at the very latest, the work session of November. Because we need to have 2 readings and an adoption. And we typically only have 1 meeting that we can vote on a month, so we need to approve this in the December meeting. So I'm working backwards on the amount of time I have to draft this.
Well, I think the hours, I don't know, I mean, this is it will be a legal business, so I don't see how we could necessarily restrict their hours. 6 p.m. that sounds like a pretty
That's a little
authoritative dictation. And then regarding the buffer zone, I mean, I don't think the school would be comfortable with anything less than 200 feet.
No,
That does
that's too
eliminate
much.
some Summit Avenue and some Main Street businesses, but Blackduck is a big town. I think there's ample space and existing buildings within the part that's outside of 200 for any business. I don't think we're restricting that unnecessarily. Could be bigger perhaps. But if I understood you correctly, the school board thought, it's comfortable to it.
Yeah, I had heard from one particular school board after the meeting,
Yep.
had reached out to me and said that that would be, comfortable in their perspective.
Is there assigned, like, space that a liquor store has to be away from the school?
If it is, it would be in state statute that I don't know about, Misty, so possibly. Whether or not ours is even in compliance, I didn't know. Probably there is. It probably is.
Cause I remember in. let's see. Old bowling alley there.
The old bowling alley over by what CBS is now.
Yeah,
Well, we used to have a bar right here that.
I think they just, because the college had property, had expanded their property. Oh, I wanna say, I can't,
And they
For
have,
sure,
that's
but-
right, they have their bar in there.
yeah, and a bar, so it was serving.
I guess,
Used to be the ball ball right there.
Yeah.
But serving
Yeah.
and buying different.
yeah, serving and buying is different, and I think you also have to look at what came first,
Yeah, you
the
can't,
school or the liquor store or the bar.
And, you know, as far
Can't
as,
push somebody out.
I don't think there was much, a lot of zoning. Back then.
somebody wants to come in downtown and put in a business and pay taxes, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I wouldn't care which side of the street it showed up on.
Yeah.
Right. And I have to look at this buffer closer as far as where 200, I'd have to really look at this differently, but to decide whether that extra 100 is making a difference or not. It's too hard for me to tell at this point.
I didn't share Otter Tail County's proposed ordinance with you guys because I only received it today. But when I reviewed it, I was really surprised that Otter Tail County wrote in their ordinance all of the maximum feet buffers that are in the sample ordinance from the Office of Cannabis Management, 1,000 feet from any school property, university, private school, anything like that was in Otter Tail counties.
Really?
Yep, and all the way up to the 500-foot buffers,
Seems a bit,
which
but
I'm struggling with because in my mind, if a city is then going to go with whatever Otter Tail is gonna go. I mean, most schools are in cities and not outside in like townships and unincorporated municipalities, but yeah, they did the 1,000 feet. And they listed educational institutions or private or public elementary, middle school, junior high, high school, or colleges. 500 feet from the daycares, 500 feet from the residential treatment facilities, group home or developmentally disabled and halfway house or correction facilities. Because they kind of fit into that same classification. And then 500 feet from any attraction with a public state, county, or city or trail that is regularly used by minors, including a playground, lake, public access, or athletic field. And 500 feet from any other cannabis business which isn't in the sample ordinance. But they had to, my understanding is they probably had to do it more a little bit globally, knowing that they were covering the entire county. But
so they went with the extreme.
That is
it
extreme.
just seems a little, I question how a
I shouldn't
city,
say it's extreme, they went with the max.
they went with the max, I'm really questioning how a municipality that probably has most of these
Because you
things
can't,
in them are going to be able to handle the buffers.
because you can't, yeah, you can't stop them from opening a business. You can't buffer, you can't put 1,000-foot buffer on everything and then have
Well, keep in mind,
nowhere to,
the 1,000 feet is only its max on the schools. The others are maxed out at 500 feet.
yeah,
And this is why I keep coming up with these other alternatives, 100, 200, 500 for each of these boards to really
So
have an understanding of where that puts everybody adjacent to the school buildings.
see, in my mind, I guess the 100 foot
More than plenty.
was plenty.
And I'm of the same opinion if I keep looking at this.
But that's just for the school. I think the other samples I provided to you guys of, you know, daycares
Yeah.
being 500 feet, playgrounds being 500 feet in town is just fine, especially where they're actually located. And if you include the trail, because Wayside Rest is technically the trailhead, it goes all the way around town and goes around all the residential areas. So it doesn't really even play into.
There's even a sign on Third Street that says bike trail, so I don't know if that,
Mhm.
that would count.
But it's on a, isn't that
You,
don't you share it with the public road?
but you can't do it in a residential, you can't open
Right.
the business in the residential zone anyway, so it's off the
Right.
table, you
So that's
guys.
off the table. It would be anything off of Main Street would be an issue. If there's anything on Main Street, which
Right. So I'm still kind of in a holding pattern here. But any additional feedback that you guys have had since my last presentation to you would be of interest.
I've heard, you know, enough to. Like I said, I thought the 100 foot would be plenty, and the fact of the matter is, it's no different at this point than. Say, like the liquor store. You know, you're not selling. They're not selling heroin or meth or. It's cannabis, and it's legal, you can't buy it in the store, walk outside and start smoking the product, as you know, you're not supposed to get in your car and drink and drive either, so you know, those are the laws.
Should get additional feedback from the school board then on the 100 and 200 foot. You sent them the diagrams and you heard from one board member, is that right?
Correct.
Would be nice to get feedback on
Okay.
the others,
parents.
whether the 100 or 200 foot is, you know.
It's another,
The parents, I mean, they're the ones sending their kids to the school, they should be, you know, have something to say as well.
Well, this is how I see it. You guys represent them.
Mhm.
Okay. And school boards are elected officials and they're representing us parents too. So
And
you
the
guys are
district is
representing the
far
people
bigger
that
than the
live
city.
here and they're also parents. And we're all parents, so your guys' feedback are what's gonna represent them. Or you go talk to more people, your neighbors, about this and see what they feel. They may not even understand or know that this has to be done. Or care.
well, actually, I think one of the reasons. He knows. Misty, coach. What do you think?
I'm good with 100 too.
I know my neighbors aren't very happy about it.
Cause if you didn't count the school's industrial arts building, you know, I mean, that's a new addition. And yeah, it's school, but I mean, if you took that little tiny block out of there, I mean. I grew up with the foul ball right here and I turned out just great, so.
Nobody.
I'm gonna make a motion.
I never had to go there, but
No, and you know, I think with change comes growing pains. There's
Uh-huh.
gonna be some of that. You're not gonna get away from it.
Well, with the way it's set up, like, it's pretty much surrounded by residential. If somebody was just really Jones and open one, the closest thing would be right here,
Mhm.
you know, to the school. Otherwise, I mean, there's really not a lot of,
Well,
I
John,
tried for
John,
City Hall.
John
for
Winnett keeps
shop.
talking about Wells Fargo building being the perfect place to have retail upstairs and an in-grow door, grow downstairs.
yeah,
and
but that
I'm
would be
like,
the same. We got this lot and this, you know,
Yeah, or Moon Drive.
yeah, so I mean.
This is right, yeah, that's in the heart of downtown, that's a business district, and it should be.
I said the city should do it,
Our
let's call it
business.
tabs and dabs.
But you spin that, you're the mayor.
Yeah, spin that.
What do you think of that, you two?
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's right. Nice work.
I haven't posted it yet.
Yeah. So,
Ron, can I just get one clarification? You were talking about hours of operation, how you were a little surprised on that. Can
Get
you
back to that.
expand on your concerns or what your point is? Because I'm not quite sure I grabbed it right.
Well, I didn't understand why somebody would want to be so restrictive on the
The
school.
10 to 6.
Why would they have a concern about?
I
hours
think
of
they're
operation?
talking about like trying to keep it from anything that would affect a minor.
Yeah, but if that's the case, I would assume they would want to close between 3 PM and 6 PM when kids are leaving school, so.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the planning commission's idea about mirroring it with the liquor store at the off sale was right.
Yeah, I
And
thought-
after reading Otter Tales, I thought that was fine too. Because not everybody is gonna be able to go shop for their cannabis between the hours of 10 and 5. They're working. Of course, if it was across the street, I could go on my lunch break. Just kidding.
she didn't turn out fine.
Yeah, I didn't.
Illegal.
It's a legal activity.
Yeah.
and I would want to make sure we're not unnecessarily restraining somebody's ability to operate a business.
Correct,
What other
exactly.
business would we
Yeah.
say you gotta close at 6,
I
not a
know.
flower shop,
I
not a liquor store, if I opened up a. liquor store.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I don't know how we can legally defend that, you have to close your business at 6, I mean,
No.
it is now a legal activity, so
Okay, thank you.
I was just. But I am, interested in their comfort level with the zone around the school as well.
Okay. Well, appreciate you guys' feedback. Thank you. Okay, we've got to make a decision what we're doing with this funding. We gave wood carvers back their money. What is gonna go on with the stage?
I think the money should be returned.
Yeah, I thought that's what we decided.
No.
Didn't?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
That is
That
not
was
what
just
we
in my
decided.
head.
We're gonna wait again.
oh,
So we've returned the money to the wood carvers?
So the Pasco Moon family gave 35,000. And the wood carvers got a grant, got a grant from Beltran Electric Roundup for 1,000 for stage.
Yeah.
We gave that back at this last meeting. They requested it. There's been no formal request from the Pasco Moon family to have that money returned to them.
Okay.
But-
I misunderstood that. Hasn't there been an informal request?
An informal would be, yes, I had a conversation with
Yeah.
the
I
member
thought-
of the family that said
Either move forward or give it back by this date, I thought.
they would like to have seen something done.
They would have liked to have seen the project move forward,
Yeah. Now, I guess I can reach out to them again.
because I need to know if that is the case, where that money goes back to.
Okay,
Because I don't know if that came from Glennis's
I will,
money, her, and who it's gonna go to, if that is the case.
And they're
But,
totally opposed to putting the money towards anything else.
well, that's gotta
don't
be,
know.
that,
that was something that they were supposed to have, the family was going to have a conversation about and get back to me.
And that's what we
Can we-
need to know.
Talk to them. I think we had talked at one point about these duck restorations.
My. I guess my problem with it is that I know that you know. I think they have an idea, I don't wanna downplay anything or anyone's contribution to the city here. But
Something with their name on it.
they want a memorial.
Sure.
And then that's, I don't know that the ducks are. the
No,
spot.
but there's other things that you could do, like you had said that one time, a pavilion or something. Slap their name on it somewhere in the park or something. I mean, there's other things to do. It just so happened, or not to disrespect them, it got bigger than it was able. You know, I don't think it's, I think.
So I will reach out again. I know I've been small all summer, but you and I had a conversation actually briefly too about the swim beach. You know, there's stuff out there that could be done, but. I will call.
And I think, doesn't Dwight Calvin kind of have a little hand in that too? Is he still interested in communicating with the family or no?
There's nothing from,
Oh, is that right? So it really all falls onto you then?
We had done plans.
it's gonna fall on me or it's going to fall. Mike and Jake and I
Jake-
had
Jake
had a
was the other
conversation,
person.
with Lean about it. And we were like. Unless you find somebody that has the time and
Can run this project.
can run a project. You're not going to get it done. And the collaboration. Between. You know, it's tough to say when you don't have that.
The only other thing that I would say is if the family's intention to have a stage at some point in the near future, or, you know, if we end up getting sales tax approved and we have some more funding to help Wayside Rest improve the restrooms and we can do some other type of improvement down there, it would be down the road. And they would just hopefully have to understand that that's what the city will do. They'll hold on to that money and earmark it only for that. But if that is not their intention and they wanted to see something sooner, then it would be better to either redirect it or return it.
Well, then the family can decide if they want to do scholarships or, I mean, they can do something
Yes.
on their own.
Yes,
They could do, yeah.
yes, because they could give it to the school or make their own.
Yeah. $1,000 scholarship would go a long ways.
Long ways. I just don't want to see the money just sit there. And
Yeah.
nothing happen.
I would make that phone call.
Okay,
Can I ask what Lean you contact? Who do you talk to?
Sydney,
And is she the daughter of?
yes,
What? Yeah,
I believe so.
okay.
Or. Mitch.
Okay, person.
Onward.
I only have a couple of items under new business. The first one is a variance and conditional use permit application from Larry Campa. He purchased 164 Main Street South, which is right at the entrance to Cedar, going to the co-op. They want to use the property that is zoned commercially for residential use. And they're requesting a variance to put in private septic. The planning commission has met with them this past Wednesday. They're super happy with the updates they've already done to it. They agree that the variance would be would be needed because it would be too big of a hardship for them to run sewer to sewer. I think Mike said it's like 233 feet to the nearest sewer main. And then it would have to go down Pine
Mhm.
to that lift station. So they're
Okay,
moving forward with providing a permitted, private sewer, but they'll be connected to water.
there's no sewer there now.
There's a holding tank on the property. That was not disclosed in the deed. According to the county recorder. Pardon me?
There has been no sewer there historically, so sewer connection,
Correct.
even when it was a business, a restaurant business.
That's the holding tank that they have in the back.
Cause I used to be in A&W Drive-In, right in that exact location. I don't know if it's the same building or not.
Mhm.
It is.
It is.
It's been skinned over with siding, windows and
Yep,
the hip roof. It used to have a flat. That's been there since the fifties or earlier.
yeah, it's the same building.
The,
You're saying it's 233 feet to the nearest sewer line?
Mhm.
Wow.
And that's ripping directly down Pine Avenue that was just redone.
17.
Something like that, yeah.
2017.
So where are the Zelinskis hooked up to?
Fine.
They shoot out the back of their place
Mhm.
at a southeasterly diagonal and go in over there.
At a southeasterly diagonal.
They
Yep,
don't connect to railroad, do they?
no,
The positive is that Larry's got a contract with a local installer, so it'll be permitted and listed at the county. So we'll have some record of it for that property.
So they would, just to keep on that subject, they'd have to go across Main and down Pine
yep,
to get to the.
yeah, and if I recall, it's 288 feet, I believe, from the building to the sewer. And there's like 50 of it or 30 of it is their yard and the rest is all ripping up bituminous the whole way. Doesn't pay for us. It absolutely does not pay for us.
Connection.
Not for $30 a month that we get.
And we have to pay for that?
No, the property owner does.
They pay, but
They would pay.
again, that's the hardship part of it because
Mhm.
to dig a trench or, you know, even to bore it in, it's a long run. I mean, it could be bored, I guess.
And they may even need a little bit of a lift station to get it over there, wouldn't they? Some
Most
type of
likely
port.
because it's relatively shallow
Yeah.
over there.
So, just to summarize, planning commission, is recommending, that the public hearing be in prior to the October 7th, council meeting. Campus will be here. In case there's any public questions, letters have gone out, to surrounding property owners and I included it in your packet. Any other questions?
These folks are local in the area, is that right?
They own Blackduck Theater. They own a couple of houses in town that they rent and they are also part of Campa Outdoors that owns Dunroven Resort.
Okay. And they own and operate the theater too?
Yes,
Okay. So they're not absentee landlords out of state?
that would be correct.
Okay.
And, you know, aren't they? It's active, they're actively helping or have helped
At least 2 families from Ukraine that I
from
know of.
Ukraine. Yeah,
Mhm.
That's what most of their rental properties are.
Mhm.
Well, it looks great what they've done so far. I mean, there's a lot of activity on the building in question, you know, new roof and, you know, they're saving another building from
Demise.
collapsing into itself and
Yeah.
having to be demolished, so. But thank you for that explanation, Mike,
Mhm.
because it didn't make sense to me, but at Main Street, there must be a sewer. there.
No, there's
Apparently not.
no sewer on Main Street. It runs down Main right here to Railroad. And then cuts back over to Summit. Goes out that way.
Mhm.
And then there's sewer that cuts between, it comes almost directly out of Weaver's. Cuts between the liquor store and, the,
Drake Motel.
the property next to it.
Oh, the one that, Adams owned.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yep, there's a building there that they own. It cuts right through there under the parking lot and then goes behind the Drake Motel and curves across and comes back towards Summit that way. It's kind of a really strange deal
I
back
never
there.
figured it out. I just assumed there was something on Main, because there used to be houses there at one point.
Max, the other two items of new business are just.
Kind of a heads up, at the October council meeting, Erica Naughton representing Blackduck area Toys for Kids will be here requesting donation for the 2024 event. And then I received a donation request from Shirley Farrell, and I hope I spelled her last name right, from the Blackduck Senior Center. They apparently are gonna be looking to do some major renovations to their community center and are going all over the place looking for funding, and they also requested funding from the city. I haven't had a lot of time to dig into the public funds policy. I'm not quite sure the reason or the request of this donation is covered by the public funds donation policy yet. I'm a little hesitant to say it does, but I'll dig a little further before that's over. But there'll be representatives from both entities in the October meeting, making a formal request.
What part of that stood out as a not?
It's, well, they're improving their building. I mean, granted, one of their arguments is that the senior center, the actual building itself that gets used by many areas of the community.
But they rent it.
I know, and that's usually our donations from the liquor rent fund
Doesn't
benefit
matter,
the
they
city
rent
as a
it.
whole.
Maybe you should raise their rent.
So
Sorry.
that's my struggle with it, is I don't know. I don't know if it is a clear qualifying request.
Yeah, it's specifically for flooring. Flooring only is how I read this.
After that, that's all I have. Guess I have questions or might comes up with. Item D.
We had nothing, we've been in here long. All favored.
I do seriously need to.
By 8:30 tomorrow morning.
What's the problem?
Is there hydraulic lines on that greens mower? There should be, right? It keeps telling me there's not. I'm like, well, then how else is it lifting and raising?
Well, it's